and myself, Juan from ICRAF, the World Agroforestry Ventures. So as a courtesy for distinguished guests, traveling all the way from Denmark, from Laos, Cambodia, and probably Myanmar as well. We will try to make the most of the session in English. But we provide simultaneous translation in Vietnamese, so if you are more comfortable with any language, either Vietnamese or English, please use the headphone. We are not speaking Danish or Laos or those language here is too difficult. And first of all, I would like to welcome and thank you for coming to this session and for not going to the other session. We seem to have a lot of participants here. Today we're going to sit and share some lessons about the sustainable and resilient agriculture in Southeast Asia countries. And more importantly, we will try to discuss the way we connect those and upscale those activities. It will be a very important agenda for the discussion. We will have 4 presentations in general. Let me check. Okay, sorry. So we start with the climate smart agriculture and beyond, the presentation by Mr. Đỗ Trọng Hoàn from ICRAF, who is myself. And then we have a connecting resilience and sustainable agriculture practices in Laos, a presentation from Bà Hongnapha Phommabouth. I hope I spell your name correctly. And then we have CID and activities in agriculture in Myanmar by Helen Shio. Another presentation is facilitating climate change adaptation in agriculture and socio-economic planning at local levels in northwestern mountain of Vietnam by Mr. Nguyễn Đức Tố Lưu from PanNature. And then we have about 30 minutes for discussion and summing up. That's it. So I know we have a problem with time. We don't have enough time, so please try to hold your question, burning question, or even objection until the end of the presentation session, just before the discussion session. We have time for that. Don't worry. So, shall we start? So we start with the first presentation by myself. I'm Juan from the Agroforestry Center. I'm going to talk about climate smart agriculture, as I'm being asked by the organizers to talk about it. And climate smart agriculture, or CSA, is a kind of very confusing, contesting concept these days, emerged very recently. And my task today is to make you confused a little bit more. So that you can think about it harder, and we can discuss about it later. Otherwise, we will not have any discussion about it. I myself also very confused about CSA, what it is, because I'm not an expert in CSA. I have not much experience. I always ask myself what it is, CSA. Please go ahead. Okay, so first thing first, why CSA? So you remember back to 2010, when the negotiation and debates on climate change was very hot. The FAO see that they have a lot of activity initiatives in the forestry sector about climate change. Now they try to do something with the agricultural sectors. That's why they come up with some sort of research, and they come up with these amazing figures. Saying, okay, 60% by 2050, the demand of the food calories from the agriculture will increase by 60%. And the impacts of agriculture to the environment here is the climate is about huge. It's about 20% of anthropogenic climate change are induced by agriculture. I don't know why they come up with this figure. Maybe in the literature you normally find a range from 19 to 29% of emission from agriculture coming from agricultural sector. That's why they come up with these average figures. Anyway, that's not very important. The point here is we need to balance this. So we have to, have a better food production system that provide more foods, and at the same time we reduce the impacts to the climate and the environment in general. And that is why the concept of CSA is born. Please go ahead. So CSA is climate smart agriculture. I think here all of us, we know what is climate and what is agriculture. The only confusing term here is smart. What is smart? Why we need smart agriculture? So it is a kind of interesting figures. I don't know how to explain it to you better, but basically on this axis we see the climate, and this axis we see food. And what being smart is that you stay in this here, what they call the safe space. That means you don't go over the maximum food production capacity, and at the same time you don't try to destroy your environment and not to go to the extreme in terms of climates. So that's why they call the climate smart agriculture. They have 3 pillars. The food security pillars, that means you have to address the food demand by 2050. You also have to mitigate the impacts of agriculture to climate change, which is reducing the greenhouse gas emission from agriculture. And at the same time, you want to stay in the safe place in terms of adapting our agricultural system to the changing climate, ever-changing climate. That's the idea of FAO, the Food and Agriculture Organization of the UN. That is the definition of CSA by the FAO, and some other organizations are supporting us, including the CGIAR, who I'm working for, and the World Bank. But some other people are really contesting and protesting these ideas. They don't really agree with this, because what climate smart agriculture about is, again, you can see here, is not about any principle or practices. It's about objectives. It's different to, for example, agroecology. Agroecology sets out a rules, a set of principles that you have to apply some ecology principles into agriculture system design and planning. But this is not. This is only objectives. So anything can be climate smart agriculture, as long as you can justify those trees. Seriously, anything. That's why it's really vague. And I wrote, personally, I don't really like this. Anyway, I will talk about it. Please go ahead. So, okay. Some of the examples of CSA are different scales. So you see people at different level, they will see these 3 objectives differently. For example, the household, for them food security is just livelihood and food for all members. But the global concern is feeding 9 million people by 2050. Same thing, mitigation for household is just soil management and reforestation, while global level is about, Paris Agreement, just withdraw from it and keep global warming below 2 degrees. So just a bit more information about ICRAF. We work normally at this level, landscape level, so that it can have a meaningful translation of what it is, those 3 objectives, to the real impacts. Yes, and next. We have some indicators for CSAs. Again, these indicators, I'm not going to talk about it. These indicators are not telling you what is a CSA. It just tell you that if you meet the objectives of the CSA, so please don't be confused. Next, please. All right. So now we have just covered what FAO said about climate smart agriculture. Now, what does it mean to farmers? What farmers think about climate smart agriculture? So, do you know this plan? Probably, well, it's good that you don't know. If you know you have a problem, it's this kind of a mirror plants. It's very common in East Africa, in Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, those countries. And it's very good. It's being used in recreational events, make people try to chew the leaves of the plants, and they feel more happy. That's why the World Health Organization, the WHO, classified it as kind of drugs, and it is banned in many countries, but still legal in many other countries. It's a kind of multi-million-dollar business in many countries. So what it is about CSA? The thing is that farmers in Kenya, they replace the crops, the food crops, with this kind of drug stimulant trees, because these trees adapt better with the drier climate. So with less rainfall, basically try to change this food crop into this kind of trees, which is for them is really climate smart. It adapts very well with the changing climate. It creates a multi-million-dollar business. And probably in terms of carbon stock, it's better than the annual crops because it's more perennial. But it is a climate smart agriculture by the Kenyan government, probably no, because it doesn't address the food security concern, which is the farmer doesn't really care about. So you see the problem that in a different scale people see things differently. Next, please. And next. So this is another example. People in India, because of the rain coming late, so they come to the field. Even when it is raining, to start planting the tree, they cannot wait anymore. It's a strategy of the farmers to adapt with the climate change. It's very passive. It's not a good strategy, but what else can they do? And then I give you another example. This I took from the papers of Hachi Chachi in 2017 in India. So you can see here, the text is not really matter, but you can see what people think. The author, they try to investigate the farmers' preference of the CSA technologies in the different rainfall zones in India. They found that at different rainfall zones, people have different preference of CSA. That means the CSA we are talking about, it is context dependent. I mean, people in these drier regions, they will choose different strategy, and where they have more rainfall, they will choose different strategies. And also the author, they found that the farmers are willing to adopt some of the risk reduction technologies and the adaptation strategy rather than investing in the mitigation part of the story. Yes, I think it makes sense because no farmers in the world want to invest for climate change mitigation services, which will benefit everyone else in the world, just not themselves. So it is the fact that we have to admit about the climate change, the climate smart agriculture, that the people at different levels see it differently. That's just a message. So if FAO and other organization wants to promote CSA, the way it is defined as the 3 pillars that you can see in the earlier presentation, that means they really need to provide policy support to farmers, because otherwise they will not adopt it. And I'm not going through this. I think everybody knows about it. We have to change the agriculture value chains. We're gonna have to change the crop insurance policies. We have to modify the payment to farmers for ecosystem services. So we have to finance find some financial models. We have to find the institution for capacity building and etc. and etc. Next, please. And we did a review. For example, we just took a sample for Vietnam. We reviewed the policy that supports CSA in Ha Tinh province of Vietnam, and we found that well, there are many actually here. The thing that have the overlap between the 3 pillars, you can see we have about 8 policies that support climate smart agriculture in words only, not any concrete in terms of technology or financial support. So actually policies are there, but we have not enough evidence for that policy to support any concrete models or techniques of climate smart agriculture. That's why ICRAF and the CGI are coming up with the ideas of climate smart villages, not climate smart agriculture. So what is climate smart villages? I don't know, but we are doing that in 36 sites across the world. You can see in Latin America, in Africa, and in Southeast Asia and South Asia. In Southeast Asia, we have 7 sites. 3 in Vietnam, actually 1 in the north, 1 in the central, and 1 in the south. 2 in Laos, 1 in Cambodia, and 1 in the Philippines. So the idea of climate smart villages is we try to find the evidence to support the climate smart agriculture to inform policies. We try to test some of the climate smart technologies and practices. We also try to develop some climate service and safety nets, and we also try to address the social dimension of climate smart agriculture, which is gender and social issues. And ICRAF specifically, we work in the central Vietnam. We manage the middle climate smart village, which you can see in the next slide. Next. Okay. So this is what we do. We tell people that we are doing climate smart agriculture in Mila village with kind of 12 climate smart practices. You can see here it covers a lot of smart things. It can be weather smart, it can be water smart, it can be seed and tree smart, carbon and nutrient smart, institution and market smart. Everything there in the village, we want to make it smart. And the intervention ranging from forest, agriculture, or agroforestry. And besides, we also fund a community creative fund and innovation fund indeed, and some of the farmer learning groups about different topics. And next, yes, and next, some photos of the practice. No, not yet. Some photos of the practice we are trying to do. Nursery, orange plantation, pepper, school vegetable, biogas, vermiculture, pig manure, chicken manure, goat, and the red arrows showing how these practices are linked together. For example, the chicken and the pig manure definitely fit into the biogas and the vermiculture, and then those things fit into the nursery, where we try to create some seedling of the trees for the home garden or agroforestry model like orange here. So we try to be comprehensive indeed. And other than that, how do we say it is, please? Okay. So here, how do we say our practices are climate smart? We have some indicators. For example, the monoculture of orange. In terms of food security is unstable yield. In terms of adaptation, it is not very well adapted with the drought conditions. In terms of mitigation, it caused some soil degradation or greening gases because it is planted on the slopeland. Now, what are the practices we try to convince farmers to do is to intercrop the orange with some guava and other grass strips. So basically it is intercropping. So we will introduce guava, some of the grass here, and then the argument is that you can diversify the income and provide some food for the animals, the fodder grass. And in terms of adaptation, you can see some benefits of increase the shape, to stabilize the soils, or increase the soil moisture. In terms of mitigation, we have some biological control between the guava and the orange, so we have reduced the disease. And we have to also have some more carbon in the soil as well. So with those 3 objectives achieved, we can happily claim ourselves as doing climate smart agriculture. Win-win-win here in the village. Yes, next. Okay, so what is beyond the climate smart practices is that we also provide some agro-climate information system, because we did an interview with about 400 households in Vietnam. They say 86% of them saying that they are willing to pay for the weather service. And do you know what they get if they pay for it? They get very inaccurate data. For example, here, the figure, I'm sorry, it's a little bit small, but you can see your handouts. It is the observed data we see in the village, which is the prediction by the humidity, and it is the prediction by the acute weather. Those two websites that provide the long-term projection of climate. And then you can see the rain, in terms of rainfall, the humidity is very low compared to the observed data. In terms of the acute weather, significantly higher. Similar things, please. It's about temperature. In terms of temperature, all of the projection is a little bit lower than the observed data. What does it mean? We want to have a better agro-climate information system. That's why we want to develop such a thing. A system that people can make decisions based on it. It's a more reliable system based on different components. It's like participatory agro-advisory scenario, or it can be cell phone or smartphone and application on the smartphones. And we also have some trainings on raising awareness about the roles of climate services to agricultural production. That's what they do. Next, please. Okay. So this is the effectiveness of CSA. I'm not going to read it. You can read it yourself. But there's something that these farmers are saying, that they're happy with the CSA, but there's something they cannot address at the farm level. You can see, for example, this Miss Liu, they say this budget is perfect only for those who have both livelihood and cultivation production activities, which means if they have only one of those, it's not meaningful. And the same thing about Mr. Minh, talking about the home garden, that the market instability is a problem. So these problems are not going to be addressed at the farm level. Something we have to think about a bigger level, the landscape level. That is what I'm going to talk next. Yes? Okay, so looking beyond the climate smart agriculture, we think that probably gender smart is also important. The issues of social issues of climate smart agriculture is also important. And here is the data we show of the interview also about 400 farmers in Dien Bien and in Hà Tĩnh provinces of Vietnam. You can see that there's not much difference between the men and the women in terms of assessing to the weather and agro-advisory data. Not much, but there are. The big problem here is that the farmer who get information, they don't share it with their partners. They share it, they don't share with the spouse. They only 29% of the wife and 40% of the husband share information with the spouse. Whenever they go to the school or learn and get information from it, they will not share. So it is highlight the importance of climate smart agriculture activities, that we need to include some sort of social learning events, community learnings, for example, or we can organize some farmer school for all of the people to be participate, rather than training only the men or the women or one family members. Next. Okay, so it's going to be one of the last slides. From climate smart agriculture to climate smart landscape. So we know that some of us realize that agriculture is just a part of the bigger landscape. you very unusually you will have a very smart climate smart agriculture in a very climate dumb landscape. It doesn't make sense at all, you know. So, for example, they say that agriculture is accountable for 75% of deforestation. That means we cannot avoid the link between agriculture and the forestry. So here we give you an example of one landscape in the Hương Khê district in Ha Giang province, where they have this kind of these landscapes look like this. They have a hydropower plant here, a reservoir here, and they have problem with the quantity and quality of river. So due to the lack of water, the people cannot plant the second crops of the year. So basically now they only have one crop for the year, no second crops. So our challenge is that the forest restoration have to improve the water flows and the agricultural production in this area. And we come up with 3 scenarios. We have the first scenario, which is business as usual, nothing changed, they will go like that. And the green area here is the poor forest, doesn't have much value. So people have a plan to convert those poor forests to acacia plantation. And we are trying to convince them to plant some forests here, native trees, to enrich the forest. So 3 different scenarios. Here is acacia expansion, and here is enriching the forest with native trees. So with the hope that with enriching the forest, they have better water. And probably more water for agricultural production. Next, please. Next. Yes. Okay. Good. So what turns out very interesting here is that by planting more forests, which is here in the, we're not going to have more water. I mean, river flow will not be improved. The only thing will be improved is the base flow, which is the groundwater, and we end up having more rainfalls, not here in that district, but in other districts, because of the evapotranspiration of the forests. They create a lot of moist and clouds, and then the wind just take the clouds somewhere else and it rains somewhere else. That means if you enrich the forest here, it will not be climate smart agriculture at the local level. But if you look at the bigger pictures, the bigger landscape is still climate smart because it really brings you more rainfalls. So that's it. That's the end of my presentation. As a conclusions, I want to share with you that CSA is a beautiful idea, but it is also workable. It's good. But problem is that it's a context dependent. It's very hard to upscale because it's context dependent again. And if we want to scale up the climate smart agriculture, we need to have some sort of approach at the more bigger level, as a landscape level. And I think that climate smart agriculture is not new at all. Some aspects of agriculture you have been known, like you know very well how to improve the yield, right? There's nothing new about climate smart agriculture that helps you to improve the yield. The problem here is how do we work together to upscale it and to show to understand the trade-offs and the synergies between these climate smart agricultural practices and other land use in the landscape, bigger landscape, so that we can understand the consequence, the impacts of agriculture at the larger level and its more meaningful level to people can communicate with. So yes, that is the end of my presentation. Yeah.
I know you may have some problem, some question, but probably you can hold it on until the end. We have another presentation coming up.
All right.
I hope it's working now. So the next presentation will be by Ms. Hongnapha Phommabouth from the Green Community Development Association in Laos, connecting resilient and sustainable agricultural practices in Laos. Yes, Ms. Hongnapha. Receive this mic.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Hongnapha. I'm from Green Community Development Association based in Vietnam capital. So, presentations. So exciting, no? Something that exciting that means. Okay, xin chào. Xin chào. I know Lao and Vietnam is very close, but sorry that I cannot speak Vietnam, but I believe that many Vietnam can speak Lao also. Okay, so I will talk about the connecting resilient and sustainable agriculture practice in Laos. But first of all, I will go to the information about my country first. So as Laos country is the landlocked and share bordering with ASEAN, right? Myanmar, Vietnam, Cambodia, and we have 6.5 million people. We still have not many number like your country, so and okay, next. And most of Lao people be living according or depending on agriculture. Like I think like the people in Vietnam also. Especially the people who live in remote area, they find the food from the forest, like mushroom, bamboo. And the challenge is now is the climate change. Like the raining is not on time, and it's also sometimes it's come but heavy rain, and that is impact to our farmers. And so Lao is concerned about this because especially the farmer, they cannot produce a lot of food for to meet the need of the market. So this is one project in our associations that this is the way to our project areas that they have the soil erosion. Like this, the issue like the farmer need. So for the so now I will introduce about my organization. My organization is based we work with the farmers. We try to help the farmers to produce the clean agriculture product, and we help them to access to the market. As we know, like farmers, they also live in the remote area and they didn't have high education, right? So the problem, they don't know how to communicate with the market. So they don't know how to bring their products to sell in the town. So it makes them don't have a high income. So that's why we try to promote them with food agriculture and then TCDA try to provide capacity building to them, and we try to help them to teach them how to write proposals, to get grant funding, to access the market, how to do the value chain of their products. So TCDA, and then why we promote the green agriculture and forestry? Because at the need of the market and the food security and the climate change, so we try to promote this work, especially Laos. If before we just do the family farming, we just for consume for every family, and we didn't use the chemical fertilizer. After that, we know after the case of food security problem and people grow up a lot, many people have many children, so they need food, and then so they try to use the chemical into their plantations. So it made the loss of the good soils of the land. And the importance of us is like when the economy improves and when we open the AEC, we have more people come to our country and they do the land transaction, and many big companies try to grab the land from our farmers. And after that, when they use the chemical, normally the first year is very good when you use chemical fertilizer. But the second year, your product is decreasing. So it's make the problem of the farmer. So it's the issue that our association go and work with them and discuss about this issue. As I said, the climate change is the big problem for now, because before I also used to live in the remote area. We didn't have the, like, when it's raining, it's not on time, like this, we don't have that. This 3 years now it's changing a lot. It's have flooding, have drought, and it makes us the bad impact for our farmers for produce our agriculture products. So this year we introduced this project, is bamboo plantation. We were meant to increase food security and income generation and for adaptation to climate change for rural community in Sarawak province. Is near the Vietnam, but I don't know it's part of Vietnam. This area is very poor district, and so our project is try to help them to improve soil fertilizer and soil management of both cash and subsoil system, as improve erosion control technique and intercroppings. And we try to promote agriculture diversity and mixed farming system to mitigate current trend of reliance on monoculture. And our objective is primarily increase community food security and promote the income generation, and the last one, improve the natural resource management. And the thing that important for us, all the projects that we visit, the target group is the person who write the request to us. It's the need of the real community. We don't want to make the project in the community that they didn't want to work with us. We try to get the right target group. When we get the right target group, all the work is belong to them. We didn't spend a lot of money like other projects. Like we spent only $5,000, for example, like this. We get all the participants. We just give them the cement and some steel like this. But all the things like soil, rock, label, everything is from the community. So it's the good thing for the start of us to work with them and let them understand what is the climate change, what is the issue, and how can they move forward with other communities. So our activity just give them training about the law, about the forest, and what is the climate change, because when we say climate change is a big word for the farmer. They didn't get all the things, so we have to find the local word that are suitable for them to understand what is really happen for the thing that when they do agriculture and impact from the climate change. So we use the participation, planning, discussion, proposal. We send them to the donor to let the donor understand that this is the need of them, not the need of the associations. This is the small work that we just finished and done for our project. That this is the thing that successful because of them, not our association. It's the thing that farmer and the community try to make it by themselves. For our lesson learned, for us, like I said, we have to find the right target for us to work with them, and then the important is the local community or local authority from the government side. Because this project is successful because we have the leadership from the community, and second is we have the leadership from the government side. Sometimes it is not easy to work with the government. The person who really understands that really help for the community. For this project, if compared to government project, normally they spend $100,000 for one project, but for us it's $12,000 for 2 villages. It's the thing that different. What we get, local government, they also give us all the facilities. They give us the wind car, the to dig all the tractor, something like that. They help us to dig and to build our work. It didn't spend a lot of money. It's a thing that we really proud to show, to share with others. Like we have to find the stakeholder to work with us also. This is the things that ICRAF do, and we also have the organic farming that's in Vietnam capital to be the demonstration for the farmer to learn, and we also get all the market and the strong hotel in Vietnam capital to get the product from the farmer to sell in the towns with the reasonable price, and we have the fair trade. Thank you so much, and if you have any question, feel free to discuss with me. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we have the next speaker, Ms. Helen No Xiong. All right.
Good morning, I'm Helen from Myanmar, CAP, for community for development. Such an honor being here, and thank you for having me. So I will go straight to my PowerPoint presentation. So I would like to introduce a little bit about our country, Myanmar. Myanmar is a favorable agrarian structure with high potential, large-scale farming in Southeast Asia of the Thailand, according to UNOPS report, and it has a relatively high land population ratio, but the arable land is low. And also, the development has been portrayed by so many reasons like macroeconomic instability, infrastructure constraints, marketing, and financial issues. And also, farmers lack of access to quality research and support. And overall, a relatively weak agricultural performance has impacted negatively. And also, I would like to introduce our organization, CAP. CAP is registered through the European Ministry of Home Affairs of the National Republic of Myanmar since 2004, and it was founded by a Christian, Mr. Joseph from Sin State, and the organization is guided by a set of principles informed by its faith-based group, but also fully understanding. And we do in our organization. We have many projects like revolving lifespan system and also revolving fertilizer plant system, also family-based community healthcare system and revolving seedbed system. So we have agriculture program also, and we corporate social responsibility through education for all and revolving anti-non bank systems. And we have community drinking water project also and carbon especially project. So our country is highly diverse in terms of agroecological zones and climate systems. We have 3 main agroecological zones named Delta, the dry zone, and the heat area. These are the townships where we are implementing our projects. Yes. This one, we have the hill area, Papa Township, Metruit, and Tetlab, and also in the dry zone, Yibu and Ruzi Township. And I'm sorry because I want to apologize because my slide doesn't cover the whole country. It only covers the Chin State because this is our project now. Our project is implementing. And the reason why we choose Chin State, it is located in the northwestern part of Myanmar, and it's bordering with the India and Bangladesh Highland Township. And it consists consists of high mountains and deep valleys, and is one of the poorest regions in Myanmar. And also, it doesn't have any natural resources and is very remote and rural. And also, the presence of development agency is limited. And also, majority of farmers are very willing to settle to their traditional farming. What is the issue with in Chin State? According to our research, 93.3% of farmers make their living following the traditional style of systems of shifting agriculture. That it caused to the degradation of the forest, including areas that are more densely populated. This is our concern. The practice of shifting, as I mentioned earlier, shifting cultivation is very high. And the use of essential farms inputs like fertilizer, pesticides, and irrigation facilities are very limited. And lack of natural resources in this region led to civilians to increase social cohesion. And also no access to income, so that's why no access to income opportunities and knowledge, expansion, and training. And because of Chin State is very isolated, that's why few villages can be accessed by car during the rainy season. So transportation in Chin State is very difficult. And also agriculture is the main tool for living in the countryside. Over a third of the population is below the poverty lines and landmass. We have to work at some rivers for a living. These are our concerns. And also everything is limited in Chin State. Investment in agricultural infrastructure and also support from central government and also the private sector, external and interconnecting and financial from international organization and NGO. And also knowledge, access to knowledge is also limited. So this is one of our projects implementing in Chin State in Hakka. These are our project objectives. Our project will increase water availability for farms, improve life skills for local youth. This is a holistic project. That's why I will go with. So these are the main activities. What we are doing implementing now. We are integrating farms educated for 1 year long cultivation, and we have training for farming system and irrigation, and we have training for how to use fertilizer, training about pesticide use. We ask help from Ministry of Agriculture, and we are implementing now. And solar lighting, and dam weeding, tree plantation, and environment awareness education. These are the achievements by implementing our project. So they improve agricultural knowledge and livelihood opportunities for local people, and reduce forest degradation, and prevent drought by planting trees in the forest, and create more jobs and income opportunities for local people. These are the lessons what we learned by doing implementing. We face challenges, many challenges due to population pressure and economic growth on land throughout its territory. And natural resources are becoming increasingly scarce. So many reasons: climate crisis, urbanization, and extended use on land for industrial purpose. And also that scale land for appropriation are undermining local people's rights to resource, and we found effective solution to these pressing and complex problems. So these are the lessons learned by implementing our project. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Nona Shio, for a very interesting presentation about activities of CID in Myanmar. The next presentation I will believe is the last presentation is from Mr. Nguyễn Đức Tố Lưu from PanNature.
My presentation is the last one, so I'd like to share with I speak Vietnamese. Xin chào hai anh chị, xin phép là được nói bằng Phiên ở nhà. Có các bạn các bạn quốc tế. Tôi xin trình bày cái bài nói về thực hành nông nghiệp thân thiện trên cái địa bàn cụ thể Tây Bắc. Và cái bài này thì nó tập trung nhiều vào vấn đề về lồng ghép, là vấn đề làm sao đưa được cái nông nghiệp thân thiện vào trong thực tế hơn là những cái vấn đề về kỹ thuật. Ở đây thì là nói về Tây Bắc. Mình sẽ giới thiệu qua một chút cho các bạn thực tế. Thì Tây Bắc của Việt Nam nó cũng có những cái đặc điểm tương tự như là các bạn vừa giới thiệu, bạn Myanmar vừa giới thiệu đấy. Nó cũng là một cái vùng đồi núi, địa hình phức tạp, dân tộc thì cũng đa sắc tộc, nhiều thành phần, rồi nghèo đói, giao thông đi lại khó khăn. Cái vùng Tây Bắc này nằm giáp với cả vùng Bắc Lào và Tân An của Trung Quốc. Ở đây trong cái chương trình chúng tôi tập trung vào ba tỉnh: Điện Biên, Sơn La và Lai Châu. Trong đó thì có một số huyện. Ở Điện Biên chúng tập trung ở huyện Điện Biên, ở Lai Châu thì phong thổ đa đường thành phố. Còn dưới Sơn La thì rộng hơn, có Yên Châu, Thuận Châu, Mường La và thành phố Sơn La. Thì vấn đề là đây là tại sao lại phải lồng ghép, để lồng ghép những cái vấn đề về nông nghiệp, có biến đổi khí hậu và trong cái thực hành. Cái này nó có một cái bối cảnh rất là rộng. Ngoài những cái Tây Bắc là cái khu vực chịu ảnh hưởng khá là mạnh của biến đổi khí hậu, nó còn có những vấn đề về phát triển kinh tế Tây Bắc, các vấn đề về những cái tiến bộ khoa học kỹ thuật mà chúng ta đã đạt được trong cái nông nghiệp thân thiện. Nó có rất nhiều mô hình, nhiều cách làm, nhưng mà làm thế nào để mà đưa được nó vào thực tế. Và chúng ta cũng có tương đối nhiều chính sách, những cái chính sách mà nó thúc đẩy cho cái nông nghiệp thân thiện thực hành. Nếu là nói về cái biến đổi khí hậu ở Tây Bắc thì ai sống ở Tây Bắc thì chúng ta cảm nhận được cái điều này nó khá rõ. Trong những năm gần đây thì cái diễn biến về khô hạn trong cái mùa nóng, rồi là rét đậm, rét hại, tương muối ở Sơn La có cái đợt rét trong năm ngoái năm kia rét hàng loạt cái vạt cái cây trồng bị cái rét đậm, rồi là mưa lớn và lũ. Cái này trong nhà tôi cửa chúng ta thấy khá là nhiều ở Sơn La, những cái khu vực mà nó có cái địa bàn phức tạp. Và một cái nữa ảnh hưởng đến nông nghiệp, tức là nó thay đổi cái mùa vụ khai thác truyền thống. Cái lạnh thì nó đến lạnh thì nó lại kéo rất dài, mùa mưa đến chậm vân. Tất cả những cái này nó ảnh hưởng rất là lớn đến nông nghiệp, cả về vấn đề về đất đai, làm mất đất, rồi giảm năng suất, rồi tăng chi phí, giảm cái chất lượng sản phẩm, và nó làm cho cái nông nghiệp trở nên là rủi ro và bấp bênh. Về chính sách thì cả quốc gia lẫn địa phương đều có những cái chính sách về biến đổi khí hậu trong nông nghiệp, và nó không chỉ là riêng hẳn những cái chính sách của ngành, mà chúng ta có những cái chính sách của nông nghiệp như là tái cơ cấu ngành nông nghiệp, rồi phát triển nông thôn mới, rồi là cái kế hoạch hành động ứng phó với cả biến đổi khí hậu trong ngành nông nghiệp, rồi chúng ta có chiến lược tăng trưởng xanh, rất nhiều, có rất nhiều chương trình. Ở đây cũng vậy, có rất nhiều cái hướng dẫn, cái đề án liên quan đến cái vấn đề này. Tuy nhiên khi mà nhìn từ cái góc độ của người nông dân thì chúng ta sẽ thấy là để một người nông dân người ta làm được một cái, người ta áp dụng cái nông nghiệp thân thiện thì có rất nhiều vấn đề. Thứ nhất là người ta không biết phải làm như thế nào, không biết là có cái chuyện đấy, không biết là có biến đổi khí hậu, không biết là những cái kỹ thuật đấy làm như thế nào. Thứ hai là cái tập quán canh tác truyền thống, nhất là ở đồng bào vùng Tây Bắc, nó theo những cái tập quán cũ rất là khó biến đổi, khó thay đổi. Thì nói riêng cái chuyện là làm thế nào để thay cái việc trồng xạ hạt cho lúa bằng cái việc là cấy là cả một vấn đề khi mà thay đổi những cái tập quán. Rồi là ở Tây Bắc là cái khu vực mà nó khó tiếp cận về giao thông, cho nên là cái mạng lưới về cung ứng dịch vụ và vật liệu cho nông nghiệp nó gặp rất nhiều khó khăn. Người ta muốn áp dụng cái nông nghiệp thân thiện mà lại không có giống mới, không có những cái hóa chất tương ứng thì không thể làm được. Và người nông dân thì người ta bị hạn chế bởi những cái quy định của làng xã, của thôn, những cái chỉ tiêu của xã để đảm bảo những diện tích nhất định về an ninh lương thực chẳng hạn. Thì khi người ta muốn thay đổi sang một cái cây trồng khác, người ta sẽ gặp khó khăn. Rồi là người ta bị hạn chế bởi cái sự quản lý, ví dụ như quản lý nước tưới. Muốn áp dụng một cái kỹ thuật về trồng lúa tiết kiệm nước, nhưng mà cái cách tưới nó vẫn như cũ đối với cả làng thì người ta cũng không làm được. Thì cái đồng bộ trong quản lý và cái điều tiết nông nghiệp ở địa phương. Rồi là một trong những cái khó khăn nói chung của Việt Nam, tức là cái nông nghiệp chúng ta nó rất là manh mún, thường đặc biệt là vùng núi. Chúng ta con trâu đi trước cái cây nó cái quy mô sản xuất nó nhỏ, thì cái việc mà áp dụng cái kỹ thuật mới vào gặp rất nhiều khó khăn. Và cũng có một cái vấn đề về người nông dân rất là quan tâm đến cái thị trường nó sẽ bấp bênh thì chúng ta thay đổi, làm một cái thay đổi gì đó thì thị trường nó có đảm bảo hay không, và ai sẽ lo cái vấn đề tiêu thụ chế biến cho những cái sản phẩm đó. Và một vấn đề nữa đối với người nông dân là người ta có ít thông tin, người ta không được tham gia vào cái quá trình lên kế hoạch và quy hoạch của địa phương, cho nên là người ta sẽ mất cái quan tâm và người ta không muốn làm cái mới. Thì ở đây trong cái nghiên cứu của chúng tôi thì tôi có một số cái điểm nhấn, tức là muốn đưa cái lồng ghép cái nông nghiệp có biến đổi khí hậu vào trong cái quá trình lập kế hoạch ở cấp xã. Thì một cái chương trình lập kế hoạch phát triển kinh tế xã hội hàng năm thì thường nó bắt đầu đầu tư từ như là đánh giá cái tình hình, đưa ra những mục tiêu, xác định cái giải pháp, rồi là lên cái kế hoạch hành động và thực hiện. Ở đây có một số cái nội dung, thứ nhất là hỗ trợ cho cái phần về đánh giá hiện trạng. Chúng tôi có tiến hành xây dựng cái bộ khung chỉ số nông nghiệp thích ứng với biến đổi khí hậu, rồi hỗ trợ cho cái phần về xác định các giải pháp. Thì tôi chú trọng đến vấn đề về khuyến nông, để hướng dẫn cho nông dân thực hiện những cái mô hình mới. Và cuối cùng là cái vấn đề về làm thế nào để nâng cao cái tiếng nói của người nông dân trong cái quá trình lập kế hoạch phát triển hàng năm của cấp xã. Nhất là nói về cái bộ cái khung chỉ số nông nghiệp thích ứng với biến đổi khí hậu. Thì cái khung chỉ số này tôi xây dựng qua một số những cái công đoạn, trong đó thì rất là chú trọng đến cái vấn đề là tham vấn các cộng đồng địa phương, các cái cán bộ, các ngành ở địa phương trong cái quá trình cái xây dựng bộ chỉ số này để làm sao có thể đánh giá được cái tình hình ứng phó với biến đổi nông nghiệp ở trong cấp xã, và làm sao để sau này nó có thể được sử dụng trong cái quá trình lập kế hoạch của địa phương. Cái bộ chỉ số này thì nó dựa trên 3 cái mảng lớn của nông nghiệp thích ứng. Có khác là có cái phần về an ninh lương thực, thì ở đây thay bằng cái là năng lượng quản trị. Nó có một phần về thích ứng, adaptation, cái thích nghi. Cái thứ hai là cái giảm thiểu, thứ ba là các vấn đề về quản trị. Thì khi mà sử dụng những cái khung này để đánh giá các xã thì nó giúp cho xã và người địa phương nâng cao được có cái hiểu biết hơn về cái vấn đề nông nghiệp, thích ứng với biến đổi khí hậu, và thúc đẩy cái sự quan tâm và cái thực hành cái lồng ghép này, và đồng thời là cái mục đích chính là đánh giá được cái mức độ sẵn sàng và từ đó để xác định những giải pháp cho nông nghiệp ở cấp xã. Thế từ những cái kết quả chúng tôi đã xây dựng thí điểm cái bộ công cụ này đánh giá ở 7 xã của 3 tỉnh. Những cái xã này nó đại diện cho những cái vùng sinh thái, kinh tế sinh thái tiểu vùng nó tương đối nhỏ. Ví dụ như là ở Điện Biên thì nó có 2 vùng lòng chảo và cái vùng đồi núi xung quanh. Thì những cái chỉ số này thì nó được đề ra nó tương đối là thích hợp, cảm thấy là chúng tôi đánh giá là nó thích hợp với cả Tây Bắc và nó đặc trưng được, nó mô tả được đặc trưng của những cái vùng kinh tế sinh thái này. Những cái chỉ số này thì nó chưa được thể hiện ở trong cái kế hoạch của địa phương, tuy nhiên nó có thể dùng để mà làm cụ thể hóa các vấn đề của địa phương. Ví dụ như là một cái chỉ tiêu của cấp xã về sản lượng hoặc là về diện tích cây trồng thì cái đó là nó nằm trong cái chính sách của trong cái kế hoạch cấp huyện. Nhưng mà cái chỉ số về nông nghiệp ứng phó nó có thể làm cụ thể hóa hơn là những cái chỉ tiêu chung đó. Cái chỉ số này nó có thể dùng trong cái là trong việc xây dựng báo cáo ở cấp xã để vấn đề liên quan hoặc là sử dụng trong quá trình mà đi chuẩn bị lập cái kế hoạch phát triển kinh tế xã hội hàng năm. Cái vấn đề thứ hai chúng tôi chú ý là vấn đề về khuyến nông và làm sao nhân rộng được những cái mô hình mô hình nông nghiệp thân thiện ở tại thôn bản. Thì ở đây chúng tôi là xây dựng cái bộ máy, cái hệ thống các tập huấn viên. Tập huấn viên này là những người địa phương có trình độ, có kinh nghiệm đi tập huấn chuyên biệt về riêng về cái nông nghiệp thân thiện. Sau đó thì họ quay về địa phương, họ thông qua những cái nhóm tiên phong về của nông dân, họ tập huấn cho cái nhóm này trên đồng ruộng và vừa là tập huấn vừa là nâng cao nhận thức cho cái nhóm này để biến đổi khí hậu và nông nghiệp hữu cơ. Về những cái kỹ thuật cụ thể cho cái nông nghiệp hữu cơ ở vùng Tây Bắc thì nó có, chúng ta có nhiều. Có cái lúa phát triển cái lúa cải tiến, rồi có cách chúng ta chuyển đổi cơ cấu cây trồng trên đất dốc. Ví dụ nếu mà ngày mai các bạn có thể đi xem cái mô hình Hòa Bình đây, họ chuyển từ cái đất trồng ngô không hiệu quả sang trồng rừng ống dao giữa lát với cả keo, từ keo với lát, thì nó cũng là một cái ví dụ để cái khả năng là thích ứng. Cái nông nghiệp thân thiện nó không nhất thiết phải là những cái kỹ thuật gì nó mới, nhưng mà nó là vấn đề về quy hoạch, vấn đề về cơ cấu cây trồng, hay là cũng là một cái vườn chúng ta thường có cái vườn tạp của đồng bào. Nếu chúng ta biết làm mà chúng ta có thể cải tạo nó cũng sẽ đưa đến những cái hiệu quả về kinh tế như là về môi trường, rồi là những cái áp dụng những cái kỹ thuật về tận dụng phế thải nông nghiệp như là trồng ấm trên rơm rạ hay là phân, và những cái mô hình về liên kết chế biến trong nông nghiệp. Đây là một số những cái kinh nghiệm cái quá trình về khuyến nông. Cái này thì chắc là cũng không phải là cái mới, cái khuyến nông nên phải dựa vào những điều kiện cụ thể để làm trên đồng ruộng, rồi hướng dẫn lấy người nông dân, hướng dẫn cho người nông dân làm thực hành từ trong suốt cái quá theo cái quá trình của cái cây trồng. Một cái mảng thứ ba là vấn đề về lồng ghép trong cái lập kế hoạch hàng năm của cấp xã. Thì một cái quy trình lập cái kế hoạch phát triển kinh tế xã hội hàng năm của cấp xã thì thường là người ta bắt đầu vào từ cuối năm, người ta đưa ra một số ở cấp xã, người ta đưa ra một số chỉ tiêu dự kiến rồi trình lên huyện, huyện thì xem xét cân đối rồi ra quyết định phê duyệt thì chuyển đến xã. Cái quy trình thường như thế. Thì nói chung là cái cấp xã sẽ là cái trọng tâm của cái việc lập kế hoạch này, tuy nhiên là cái việc mà chỉ đạo từ cấp huyện nó rất là lớn, và cái vai trò của thôn và người dân trong cái quá trình này nó tương đối hạn chế. Thì để mà cái cấp xã người ta đưa được những cái vấn đề về nông nghiệp ứng phó vào ấy, thì nó cũng gặp nhiều khó khăn, nhất là bản thân xã thường cái hiểu biết về biến đổi khí hậu và nông nghiệp tương cũng rất là hạn chế. Cái thứ hai là thường cấp xã họ thụ động, họ do những cái chỉ tiêu được giao từ huyện xuống cả về kinh phí lẫn như là cái chỉ tiêu đó. Thì ở đây có cái khuyến nghị đối với cấp xã, tức là để mà lồng ghép thì cấp xã cần phải tính đến cái gì, lồng ghép cái nông nghiệp ứng là làm cái gì. Thứ nhất là cái vấn đề phải đầu tiên là làm cái mới thì là phải thực, cái vấn đề về khảo nghiệm, cái hệ thống khảo nghiệm của chúng ta tương đối yếu, nhất là chúng ta thường có khảo nghiệm đến vùng, nhưng mà khảo nghiệm đến xã đến thôn thì là hầu như không có. Rồi xây dựng những cái mô hình thì nó là những cái bước thử nghiệm, cái kế hoạch của xã nó phải hỗ trợ cho cái việc thử nghiệm ở tại xã. Cái thứ hai là khi thử nghiệm xong rồi thì phải áp dụng, thì kế hoạch của xã đưa cái chỉ tiêu về áp dụng cái nông nghiệp có như thế nào. Cái nữa là cái nhiệm vụ của xã là vấn đề thu hoạch và cơ cấu cây trồng cây gì, trồng ở đâu. Thì cái này thì nông dân không thể làm được thì chắc chắn là phải quy hoạch là phải nhà nước rồi. Và một vấn đề nữa là xã cũng, cái vai trò của xã cũng phải tránh được, tức là xã phải điều phối cái giữa các ngành, chứ không phải chỉ trong nông nghiệp không. Thì nếu mà chỉ phát triển nông nghiệp không thì nó không đáp ứng được. Phối hợp như thế nào với cả các doanh nghiệp cung ứng vật tư và các doanh nghiệp tiêu thụ chế biến, phối hợp với cả các nhà khoa học như thế nào cho nông dân người ta có cái kiến thức người ta làm. Thì đấy là bốn cái vấn đề ít nhất xã khi làm cái này phải quan tâm. Và một cái rất là khuyến nghị xã cần phải chú ý khi mà đưa những cái đưa nông nghiệp vào, thì tức là trong cái lập kế hoạch của mình, đó là trong cái quá trình lập kế hoạch phải đưa nông dân vào tham khảo ý kiến trong quá trình lập kế hoạch, rồi thông qua các mô hình, rồi là thông qua các nhóm hội nông dân trong quá trình lập kế hoạch, cũng như là khi mà triển khai thực thi. Thì người nông dân mới là cái người mà người ta sẽ thực hành cái nông nghiệp này trên cái đồng ruộng của mình. Tôi xin dừng lại ở đây.
So we're coming to the discussion. We're a little bit late, but I think we'll just take the questions and then see how long time it takes. To make the whole process a bit more effective, I would like for the speakers to come up here, the 4 presenters, and then you can stand up here, and then we have the questions for the audience. You can also sit in the chair. So Miss Phommabouth and Miss Phiên. Thank you so much. I hope you noted down a lot of questions for the panel. It could be either on the keynote, on the regional level perspectives, or also for the 3 presenters from more the ground level of Laos, Myanmar and Vietnam. So if you have a question, you can raise your hand, and if you could just please start by addressing who the question is for, like if it's for a specific person or if it's for the panel in general.
Actually, my question is not dedicated to any specific presenter. It is dedicated to every participant in this room. Before that, I would like to give a few country update of Myanmar, because Myanmar was the biggest rice exporter in 50s, but now we are far left behind by the Vietnam, Cambodia, and especially Thailand. And very recently, we practiced the agricultural development strategy in which we shifted from crop intensification to crop diversification. Because I think it is also related to your CSA, country's climate smart agriculture. Because not only growing rice alone, we are going to introduce the crop diversification systems to the farmers. So I would like to learn from you all about your feedback for this new system that we are going to practice in near future in Myanmar. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for the presentation. It's very useful and more information to us for understanding your model to another place. I have one question here. Yeah. At your presentation, I found that almost your farming system is pilot scale. Yeah. The main problem is how to expand your farming system model to other place, and what are the main barriers in policy or some financial condition and all someone else to order. Can you give me some your idea about this? Thank you very much.
Well, thank you to all the panelists. My question is directly addressed to Mr. Phiên from ICRAF in regards to climate smart agriculture. And you also suggest with introduction to this climate smart village as well. I really would like to learn what this implication, but also how it is addressing the food sovereignty issue as well, because at the global level we have debated a lot, which especially recently last week there was this food forum which was taken place in Rome, and one of which we discussed about how climate smart agriculture has been enforced and implemented, which doesn't really respond to the need of the small scale farmer or food producers. And one of the proposals from at least from farmers organization is to really enforce and looking at others alternative, for instance, agroecologies, and also this food sovereignty as the principle, rather than to really build on these climate smart agricultures, which, well, you have also identified which just addressing at this very minor level, which more likely the farmer level, rather than to addressing this whole agro-business plantation issue. So I really like to learn how climate smart agriculture and how the climate smart village have addressed to this issue and context. Thank you.
Take some answers and then we can follow up with more questions afterwards. Mr. Liu, do you have anything to raise also microphone?
We have one presenter or one speaker from Myanmar. So do you want to respond to the question from Myanmar? Or we will find another person to respond to that. Anyone? Okay, let's hold it on. I think Mr. Liu wants to respond to the question of about how to move forward from the pilot scale to a bigger scale, right? And what are the main policy barriers that you found?
I think I'd like to respond to the question about what is the challenges in the policy to support, to extend CNA's model. for local level, for the commune and district level. But for policy high level, I think that the issue here is not only in policy, it's in the practice, in how to promote the people implement the CSA. For policy part, it's important have the inventory and the more restructure planning and structure the agriculture, and also the policy should focus not only agriculture by itself, but also it needs to coordination with other processing and also service provider. For example, in Vietnam recently we had problem with the price of pig, the meat. It happened not only because we produce bad meat. It happened because we cannot coordinate the production and the processing and the export. So it's some idea about the policy. I think the role of policy is not only in the research or extend the CSA model, but need to create a more favorable condition for application of the technique.
And how to promote about the good model for our country. Now we have our farmer network that only working with the policy maker, and we also have the CSO networking. All of the project we always send this mail to each others, because all of Lao CSO or the Lao farmer, we only go and work together in the group, because it makes us easy to negotiate with the government or working with the government.
Right. So,
I will try to answer the question from Myanmar and the question specifically made for me at the same time. So really, I really admire the approach of Myanmar. At ICRAF, the World Agroforestry Center, we really support the idea of diversification of the agricultural products rather than relying on one crops. Because it's by diversification, you're trying to spread the risk along the agricultural production system, and we better ensure by the farmer itself. But the problem of diversification is that it normally requires more investment, especially in terms of labor. So that's the thing that we are trying to address, and I don't really have an answer for you. But I'm sure that in Vietnam we are learning a lot from Myanmar, not just the Myanmar, learning from other countries, like the thảo system. For forest plantations, actually, I think we learned it from you, from the Myanmar. So it helps a lot for our farmers to plant the forest and reforest the country after a long time of deforestation. And we really appreciate the Myanmar models for that. I'm not sure I can answer your question. For the question about the food sovereignty, right? How does it link to the climate smart agriculture? How does it link to the food security issues and the agro business? I must say that not many people agree with the climate smart agriculture. As you said before, many people even protest climate smart agriculture, and partly because of the involvement of some fertilizers company in the movement of climate smart agriculture. The people will kind of fear like they will lose their food sovereignty to those fertilizers and GMOs companies like Monsanto or whatever. That is a little bit beyond my knowledge how to address the issue, but I support the idea of CSAs as an idea, not as a practice. Yeah, because I don't see any practices on climate smart agriculture that is really meaningful for addressing the three pillars like the climate, the food security at the same time. So, but the idea is nice, but the way we move forward is that we try to understand the trade-offs and the synergies between those three objectives. Because I'm not sure if we found any system that is have high yields, that have high carbon sequestration capacity, and at the same time it has the adapt very well to the changing climate. I haven't seen such a thing. Yeah, even an agroforestry system, we often call ourselves win-win-win. But in terms of yield, we have problem. We cannot compare with the monoplanting. And I think we have to understand the trade-off a little bit better before we make the final decision which kind of direction we want to go. We want to diversify or we want to focus on the crops. I'm not sure I can answer your question either. That's the best I can do.
All right. I have a small comment also to Dr. Chuang's question about scaling up. That is part of what we've been doing at Adam, using farm and field schools in all three countries of implementation.
Stand too close to the...
Okay, so what I can say is that farm and field schools is...
Just speak a bit louder.
Yeah, that farm and field schools is a very good method of doing this, but it's not an easy method still. Like what we've been doing is to work a lot in Cambodia and Vietnam first, and then we've been trying to scale up not only within the countries but also to Tanzania. And it's not easy to just take this model and implement it into another context. So that has a steep learning curve. So it's not the perfect solution, but I think it's a very good method of scaling up and reaching a lot of farmers. But we can discuss that in the break if you want to. For the discussion, I wanted to hear if people have more questions for the panel. And if there are no more questions, I think we should end the discussion and say that it is break for 1.5 hours.